Good morning, everybody. You're welcome to another Green Shield webinar, rather, the first Green Shield webinar for the year 2025. We are delighted to welcome you to this webinar. It is themed Women in HSE Profession. We'll be looking at their challenges, the triumph, and the road ahead. With me are three amazing women who have toiled the field of HSE and have conquered. They've climbed the ladder and they are currently holding top positions in the HSE field. They are Dr. Mrs. Monica Nwosu, Mrs. Oluwakemi M, and Mrs. Cynthia Ozobu. They will be taking us on insightful topics that promises to be enlightening. Trust me, you're going to gain a whole lot from this webinar this morning. And we'll hold on for a few minutes for other webinar attendees to join us, and we'll kick off afterwards. Yes. Good morning, everybody, once again. My name is Kelechi, and I am representing Green Shield Safety. You're all welcome to this webinar, and we are delighted to have you all here. Earlier, I had initially introduced our speakers, but I'll have to do that again for the benefit of those that are just joining us. Okay, before we commence, can you please, let's have a safety moment. Please look around you. Kindly remove all harmful objects around you. Take a moment to check if there are harmful objects. Let me check mine. And ensure if you're sitting in the right position. Okay. All right. So moving on. This webinar is brought to you by Green Shield Safety, and Green Shield Safety is committed to ensuring the safety of every Nigerian worker. The webinar is themed Women in HSE Profession, Challenges, Triumph, and the Road Ahead. With me are three amazing speakers. They are three women who have toiled, like I said earlier, the field of HSE, and also climbed the ladders to the top position in the HSE field. Imagine these women conquering a male-dominating field and holding leadership positions. I'm really proud to be on this webinar with these women. They are great women, and they are. First speaker, Dr. Mrs. Monica Nwosu. She's currently the principal consultant, Fresh Fountain Consulting Limited, also an Eastbourne board member, and Deputy Director General for WSO, that's the World Safety Organization. Also with me is Mrs. Oluwakemi M. Aromusoye. She's currently the Vice Chair of IOSH West Africa. And we have here Cynthia Ozobu. She is the Group Lead Occupational Health and Hygiene Specialist, Dangote Sugar Refinery. Trust me, these women are ready to take us on the journey, to learn more, to get inspired. I am ready to be inspired. I'm ready to be inspired, you know, taking up positions that are mainly for men and holding up is not an easy task. And I'm really, really, really impressed by their work so far. You can follow them on LinkedIn, check out their profile on LinkedIn, and see how well they've done for themselves in the HSE field. So our first speaker for today is Dr. Mrs. Monica, and she will be taking us on the topic, breaking barriers, overcoming challenges for women in HSE. Please, let's sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this webinar. I'm sure, like I said, it's going to be very, very enlightening, insightful, and inspiring. Dr. Mrs. Monica, are you ready for us, ma'am?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelechi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Finally, we are here, right? Thank you so much, Green Shield, for having me. I think this is something I'd actually looked forward to a long time coming, and finally we are here. And for me, it's an absolute honor, privilege to be here this morning. Like Rachel had rightly introduced, my name is Dr. Monica Nwosu, Governing Board Member and Trustee for ISPON, OSH Africa, WSO, and of course, the Management System Practitioners of Nigeria. So it's an absolute honor to be discussing this very insightful topic. It's a very trending conversation, and I'm glad we are having this conversation this morning. So let's just dive right in. My presentation outline is very simple. We're going to look at the future trends and global alliances when it comes to women in generally leadership position, and narrowing down to women in occupational health and safety. Then, of course, we look at the overview of our profession and the industry as a whole. Is it an attractive industry? Is it a lucrative industry? Is it an industry you would want to play within? Then, of course, we dive right into our main topic, which is the barriers that women face and in EHSE profession, despite the fact that it's attractive, there's a lot of entrance and a lot of people are coming in and trooping in actually into the profession. However, there are a couple of challenges that women face that we're going to look at. And of course, there's always two sides to every coin. Despite the fact that we have challenges, we also want to look at opportunities for growth in this industry. Of course, we'll look at recommendations and how we can better position ourselves as women to leverage on available opportunities or also skill as occupational health and safety practitioners. All right, presentation objective. At the end of this our conversation, and our focus is to encourage more women to attain leadership position and to realign themselves, to reposition themselves, for future of work. Because the truth is, COVID had brought the future of work to our doorsteps. We also would want to identify barriers, like I stated, and of course, the opportunities. We want to appreciate the enormous opportunities that are available to us, even considering global trend. And of course, we want to identify leadership, what leadership roles, organization, even as a nation that we can play, and as of course, as individuals, what are the leadership roles that we need to play in order for us to be able to reposition ourselves for leadership within our industry. All right, so what are the statistics? So I had a lot of statistics to share with us as we progress on this journey. So come with me. There are globally within Africa, there are a lot of statistics that we need to play around with. Firstly, we have over 50% of women that are working. In fact, if you ask me, I think these statistics might probably be obsolete considering that this survey was done in 2018 by WISE, the Women in Safety Excellence of ASSP. So women make up far less than 50% of the OSH professionals, and of course, they struggle to attain leadership position. And then globally, it is recorded that women make up more than 50% of the global workforce. However, in fact, precisely about 32% of women globally actually have been able to attain leadership position. The statistics says 31.7% of women have actually been able to attain leadership position in their respective, occupation, considering the fact that, in fact, you have over 65%, 65.7, that's almost like 67 or close to 70% of women, that's close to like 66% of women working globally in the workforce. So that means that if we have 66%, that means you have about, let's say, about 40 or 40 something percent of men, in the global workforce when it comes to global average participation. So you can see that there's a huge gap. Of course, this gap is changing based on the global trend, but then again, the pace is actually very slow. So a survey was conducted by NSC, the National Safety Council, in 2018 again, and the survey was asking that would people recommend an occupation in OHS, in occupational health and safety? Will you recommend that people should come in and work? And it's surprisingly, you have almost 80% say yes, that they will recommend that people should come in and work as health and safety practitioners. Only about 21% said no. Again, it's telling us that we have a very lucrative occupation. However, the question now is, what is the positioning of women? What is the distribution of women regarding leadership roles and leadership position? So key evolution in our industry. The reason why you have almost 80% saying yes, they would like to be in our industry, because 25%, there's 25% increase in the responsibility and the scope of our work, considering the global trend. ESG is becoming a thing. And of course, this is one aspect that HSE professionals can play within. Over 25% increase from statistics that we saw. The OHS profession, of course, it has diverse opportunities, and it is it's a fast-growing occupation. COVID-19 even made it more so. So immediately after the COVID-19, it's like as if everyone wanted to play around in health and safety because of the important role that we play. Okay. Then of course you see increase in investors and regulatory demands, especially right now when it comes to investors demanding that look, that should be responsibility on the part of organization. The organization should behave more responsibly. So there's a huge demand regarding ESGs, regarding HSE, and without that, organizations are struggling, to actually get investors approval. So because of that, industry has become more attractive. And then recently, the Nigerian government, even globally, now they are beginning to consider EHSE role as, as part of the C-suites. Before now, you hardly will see that you have a director of occupational health and safety. But right now, you're beginning to have such roles, even at the national level. So yes, the industry is a very attractive industry, and it is an industry that I would definitely always recommend that people come in. But then again, we want to look at the barriers, particularly to women, or the challenges that women face when it comes to the EHSC profession, especially considering the fact that it is male dominated. All right, Kelechi already stated that it's a profession that is really male dominated. I recall that when I came to the industry about 23, 24 years ago, I was like a lone ranger for almost all the meetings and for almost all of the professional engagements. I will probably be only one of the women that will attend, and maybe 2, 3 of us in the midst of all of the men. But thankfully, the trend is changing, and it's something that's really I am happy about. But then again, the question we need to ask ourselves is what is the pace? So you have a global statistics saying that women in leadership role, it has improved and it's moved from 30% and it has increased to 32%. So if something moves from 30% to 32%, then again, you ask yourself, is that really an encouraging pace? Yes, it is increasing, but the truth is the pace at which it is increasing, it is really leaving a huge gap in leadership position for women, particularly globally, and then of course, narrowing it down to our OSH industry. Only 19% of women representation at a survey that was conducted by ASSP. Can imagine. Respondents were almost 10,000 participants, and only 19% were women that responded in that global, in that survey that was conducted by ASSP. Globally, like I said, women face about 24% pay gap, and we are going to consider that in depth as you look at the global, there's this this global gender gap pay survey that was conducted. And it was so clear that the pay gap for the same role that women occupy globally, I mean, it is different. So that's another thing that we need to look at, the imposter syndrome and the fact that women need to become more confident about themselves regarding their the role that they can occupy and bring their best foot forward. And this interesting quotes from one of the leading voices in ASSP. Sorry, I'm using a lot of data from ASSP because I belong to that women association, and it's one of the thriving women group that I really belong. Diversity is important for any business and any industry, but maybe even more so in safety, because we are trying to protect a very wide variety of workers. We need both men and women represented. If we don't bring both men and women and we don't have this diversity, inclusive thought process into our profession, we will miss opportunities to impact organizations that we serve, and we'll miss opportunities as safety professional, because we serve very diverse group of people and our profession cut across almost every facet of any industry. It is important that we begin to look at diversity and inclusiveness in order for us to be able to impact more positively within our various organizations we serve. For me, this is very apt. When I saw this quote, I said this just summarizes everything we are talking about, because you cannot be serving a very diverse industry as occupational health and safety, and then of course you're now limited in the distribution of the gender within that industry. Definitely is going to impact that industry very negatively. So food for thought for all of us. Now let's quickly dive right into some of the gender challenges that we face. Number one of it is the patriarchal biases and the gender norm for the role of women, especially when it comes to some profession that people consider that, look, this is a male profession. What are you doing here? I've actually had 1 or 2 persons question me before as a consultant in a site, I think in the north. And, we're trying to assess a particular location. It was so difficult, assessing that location, climbing, jumping, and all of that. It was, I think, some years back. And the person was like, "What are you even doing here? We shouldn't be here." And I was like, that is what I do. I'm a consultant within this field, and that is what I do. So if it requires that I go this length, I am willing to go that length. So they just do not see the reason why you should be in this profession, because society or societal norms are defining the kind of occupation that women should really be in. Typically you should be sitting in as a secretary or as a typist or as an administrative role or human resource role. Of course, streamlining or boxing. So we have that general patriarchal or stereotypical bias that there's a certain gender that women should be seen, or there's a there's a certain occupation that gender should be seen, or certain role that women should be playing. And of course, you have an evil playing field where you have gender pay gap and limited job opportunities, especially for married women. I recall then as a young mom, I had opportunity of working with one of the best logistics company in the world. I mean, they have a branch in Nigeria here at the MP, and they have their head office in Victoria Island. I had scaled through all of the interview stages. In fact, it was like a dream job. Just finished my postgraduate degree there in environmental management. And I also had taken some courses in occupational health and safety. So in terms of qualification, no doubt, I was very qualified for the job. So at the final stage of the interview, I was supposed to meet with my direct manager, and as I was speaking with the white man, which is the CEO. And of course, they asked one of the questions they usually would ask: "Are you married? Do you have children? And do you have kids?" I just had a kid then. I just had my first child, 6 months. With all of the excitement, I said, "Of course, I'm married," and I went on and on and on about my family. And of course, they saw the passion. I'm very passionate about my family, and I do not hide it. And no excuses and no apologies, actually, no apologies. And of course, you could see the countenance of everyone in the room changed. And trust me, that was the end I heard from that company. I was told that, look, we'll reach out, and they never reached out. I'm still waiting for them to reach out to today. So it's really very real. And again, like I said, the trend is changing. It is really changing. Globally, women are beginning to be recognized, and a lot of opportunities are given to women. But then again, like I said, the pace is really slow. So you have an even playing field where you have pay gaps, and we are going to look at some of the statistics to back up these pay gaps. Less women in technology, particularly in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So you have lesser women in terms of competence. You have more of male counterparts being more, competent within the STEM industry. Will I call it an imposter syndrome? Sometimes, we are not self-aware. Sometimes it could be an imposter syndrome thing for us women. And, you just need to prove yourself over and over again as a woman when you are in a certain role. And I think that is also a huge challenge for us women that we need to take a closer look at. Underrepresentation of women at leadership levels. Definitely. Women, like I've already stated at the start of this presentation, women are underrepresented. I mean, 32% is a far cry considering the total workforce when it comes to C-suite. Like I said here, women are low rangers at C-suites. Yes, you have very few women at that leadership level, and it can really be very lonely. I have opportunity of sitting across almost 5 boards within the occupational health and safety industry, even outside the health and safety industry. And then sometimes you make some statements and it will be misconstrued. And then your male counterpart is making the same statement and it is understood. So sometimes you have to prove yourself time and time again. You have to take out time to try to, explain and re-explain yourself so that it is not misunderstood. And these are very real. Okay, lack of mentoring and networking opportunity. I think that has actually reduced drastically. But when I particularly came into the industry, I did not even have anyone, to look up to. Most of the time, I had male counterpart. But one very good thing about the Nigerian occupational health profession, to be honest, it was that my male counterpart, they were like my brothers. We were very, very, there was this very cordial relationship within us. So within the OSH profession itself, this stereotypical gender thing is not there really. But in the larger society and in the larger organizations, of course, you see this, playing out. So I did not have this opportunity of, having mentors. Networking opportunities was there, but it was limited. But like I said, right now we have a lot of mentoring opportunities, and we are going to be looking at such opportunities that we can actually harness to combat most of these challenges. Work-life imbalance. I didn't say work-life balance. I know that Kemi is going to be speaking more on this work-life balance. So I actually would say it is more of work-life integration. There's a lot of prejudice against women, especially nursing and pregnant women. Unconscious biases. There are no HSE policies or procedures. Only, and if there are, only very few companies are embracing this. And I've had one or two women say that when I became pregnant, I was told to resign. Yes, I've had someone told me that, and I'm like, no, you need to take this up. He says, no, the company paid me off, and the company. No, so these are very real issues, very real issues, and you when you are placed alongside or at par with your male counterpart, you see that they tend to have more opportunities than women, particularly when they see that you are a married mother. So there's some industry that would just not want to, give opportunities to pregnant women. Imagine having a 7-month-old woman or a 8-month-old woman coming for an interview. You can't imagine the outcome of such interview. It will be very rare, or even a 5-month-old woman. It will be very rare for you to see a company employing a pregnant woman. They will just say, "Madam, just go home, have your baby first. Then when you finish, you can come back." That's just the kind of unconscious biases that we have when it comes to work-life imbalance. And then you have work structure and configuration. And I'm going to dwell a little bit more on work structure and configuration when it comes to the PPEs that we use, the kind of psychosocial hazards that we face, and all of the sanitary facilities sometimes that you see within the work site. So we are going to narrow down. All right, so looking at these challenges more closely, narrowing them down, you will see that there is, like I said, there is women underrepresentation at all levels of leadership with only 25% representation. Like I said earlier on, women make up over 50%, almost 65% of the global workforce. It's only less than about 25% in leadership position. And for every 100 men promoted to a leadership position, only 79 women are promoted to the same leadership position. So meaning that men naturally would have more advantage than women when it comes to holding leadership role, leadership position. So this is a survey that was done by Bloomberg. Bloomberg is one of the, when it comes to research, they're one of the best when it comes to research, especially regarding workplace surveys. So you can see the trend when both of the male and female entered. You see 24% of the woman came in, and then of course 76% of the male came in at that level of manager to director. But as they progressed, you can see the level of progression. At the executive leadership level or at the C-suite level, you have only 14% of the women representation as against 86% of male counterpart representation. You can see it's not the figure increasing and balancing. It is actually shrinking as you move on the leadership ladder. Also, gender inequality in the workplace. You can see the statistics as it is playing out. Okay, so and you have issues related to gender inequality. I actually saw this survey, and this survey, it was very interesting for me because this survey cut across four different generations. And so when I saw it, I was excited to say that, oh, this actually captures every perception regarding all of the generations. So when I say 4 generations, I'm looking at the baby boomers, I'm looking at the millennials, the Gen S, and the Gen Zs. And this survey was done across several industries in the US, and this is the result of that survey. Very interesting. So when it comes to gender pay gap, the question was, do women believe that there's a major pay gap that exists? And again, this survey was done in 2024, making it even more interesting. So you can see that almost 70% of women believe that women are underpaid. Gen Z 62%, millennials 66%, and Gen X is 68%. And then of course the baby boomers, they are saying 71%. Well, for the baby boomers, they are the older generation, and maybe in their time it was a bit different. Maybe that's why they still have that perception. But if you look at the Gen Zs, and you look at the Gen X and the millennials, it will tell you the current more of the current trend. Then when it comes to women representation in leadership role, this survey is very interesting. And you can see that almost everyone feel that women are not well represented when it comes to leadership roles. Okay, and women being passed up for leadership role, meaning that if there is an opportunity for a male and women, for a male and a female, do you think that women will be given that opportunity? And a lot of the generations believe that yes, more male will be given the opportunities as against women. Percentage of women believe that yes, that they will choose a male colleague for promotion over and above a woman of the same gender, even though both of them are qualified or have the same qualification and are both qualified for promotion. Okay, and then of course they also asked, of course, regarding the gender bias and workplace respects. And they say women are afraid to report discrimination in the workplace. There's a trend currently going on. And there's in our country right now, and you can see firsthand what women experience. And that's why most of the time women are afraid to report gender discrimination, especially workplace sexual harassment. All right, these are very real statistics, and I'm so glad that it cut across 4 generations, and particularly that it covers just last year, 2024. So these are very real statistics to prove that what we are going through globally. Okay, so looking at narrowing down to work structure, I wanted to dwell a little bit on this. Looking at the work structure, you can see that there's higher levels of psychosocial and physical risk when it comes to occupation. The impact on male and female folks definitely is going to be different because our physiological makeup is not the same. I'll leave that for Cynthia because I mean she's more like a guru in this area. But then again, when you look at the levels of exposures that we face when it comes to risk, our physiological makeup is not the same thing. So, but the risk assessment report that I see as a consultant across diverse industry, it's always the same thing, always the same thing. So there's never really a distinction. The controls are almost the same thing, regardless of the gender. Okay, and then when you narrow down to the PPEs, this one, the work clothes, the structure of the work clothes. Imagine a pregnant woman that is still supposed to be working until 6, 7 months. Okay, and I believe that Green Sheet has a key role to play in this, and I believe that Green Sheet is really doing a lot in terms of this. And I'm sure Kelechi will speak more to this. And we need more awareness regarding this across different organizations to say that, look, there are specific workloads that should be specific to the female gender because our makeup, our structure is not the same thing. Our design, our default design is not the same thing. It's not really. So yes, so we need to look at that again. Okay, looking at the facility, sanitary facilities. Is it the cloakroom? Is it the rest area, the resting facility? Is it even lack of total privacy, especially in some construction sites or in some very remote areas when you have females working in those areas? The assumption generally, sometimes, and I've actually gone to 1 or 2 sites before at some outskirts, and they failed to provide a specific sanitary facility. And the excuse is that there are not so many of the females, there are only 5 of them, there are only 10 of them, that's against how many of us. And I'm saying, regardless of the fact that there are only 2 or 3 of them, you still need to provide sanitary facilities that are suitable for them and are specific for them. Okay, cloakroom, I have seen situations where the demarcation between the male and female cloakroom is just, in fact, I was so surprised. I was like, how do you expect privacy in this kind of a place? They said, no, when the females enter, they tell the male not to come in. The male must wait for them before they come in. I'm like, no, this arrangement will not work. Definitely not, no, it won't work. I had to advise and I had to recommend that, look, there need to be a separate, I mean, it should even be in the same location. There should be complete, separation regarding the rotation of duty. Sometimes you have nights and day, okay, especially regarding married women. Of course, you know what the impact is, especially when it comes to the family work-life balance. So I'm going to dwell so much on that. I'm sure Kemi will do justice on the family work-life balance because sometimes there are some occupations or there's some organization within our industry where they run shifts, and as the HSE officer or supervisor or the HSE manager, sometimes you see yourself, struggling, especially if you're a female, on how to run the shift work. I had to reject 1 or 2 work with one, I don't want to call their name because it had to do with shifts at my early days of career. I recall very well. I was given that, there was no interview. They just called me to take on the role. And when I looked at the requirements, it had to do with rotation and night and day. And of course, I had to reject it because I had a very young family at that particular point in time. Fitness to site, regardless, like I said, regardless of the location, regardless of the nature of job, you are just expected, to fit to site, regardless of whether you're a male, whether you're a female and everything. Sometimes when you see me, a male, the females do conduct or carry out some work at the site. You see the male, hailing and clapping to say, oh, you mean you can do this? So you mean you can drive the forklift? Oh, you mean you can move this truck? Oh, you mean you can operate this machine? Oh, so you mean you can. So there's this kind of, overly expectation that, women should be able, should not be able to do some certain roles, some certain tasks. Yes, I believe, I don't want to discount the fact that physically speaking, of course, men, they tend to have more physical strength. Okay. But then again, when it comes to mental and when it comes to your psychosocial and in terms of other aspects, trust me, women intuition is even higher and it's actually deeper when you compare to your male counterpart. So what are other challenges that I highlighted here before we then look at the opportunity? I'm sure this is one subject we don't want to talk about, right? But they are very real. We are, like I said, we are currently, witnessing one that is currently viral in our nation. Workplace harassment and violence. Is it real? Very real. 1 in every 6 women have experienced it one way or the other, and 1 in every 5 have experienced it before the age of 15. So it is very real. It's very, very real. But the challenge is that majority of the time, women do not even report because reporting will be misconstrued. And then, of course, most women are silenced. And so one of the things we want to encourage in this webinar that we are having is if you're a woman and you're facing workplace harassment or violence or sexual harassment, you should not be silent. Don't keep quiet. In fact, Lagos State is actually doing a lot, and there's a law right now. Of course, there's even a special. I drove past it I think 2 days ago, and when I drove past it, I was even laughing. I was telling my husband, "Oh, this office actually exists. It is behind Bishop Viney at GRA Ikeja, opposite Police College. They have a special office where they have, special cases like this treated, domestic violence, sexual harassment, and office harassment. So women, these are some of the challenges, and you do not need to keep quiet. Work-life balance and unpaid domestic care, a lot of statistics around this, and I will not dwell so much on this because like I said, Kemi will do justice to this. But then again, you come back from your work, you have a lot of unpaid care and domestic work that you need to perform. In fact, you have older folks and younger ones that you need to take care of, and then you have to do some of the house chores and domestic domestic activities in the house. And at the same time, you have to still keep up a career. And of course, you can see the pay disparity between male and female. So it is very, very real. And it is something that's the World Safety Organization and no, the ILO, sorry, it's really looking into, and they are really doing a lot of advocacy within. There's this UN Global Compacts that is a network across several countries of the world. Nigeria has a branch. I've been privileged to attend 1 or 2 of their meetings, and some of the conversations around pay gap and work-life balance for women and unpaid domestic care is actually one of the things that is actually one of the challenges when it comes to career progression for majority of women. Okay, like I said, there are always 2 sides to a coin. After highlighting all of these challenges, which are very real, really. So let's also look at the other side of the coin. Let's look at the other side of the coin. Are there opportunities for women in the OHS profession? Do you think? What's your answer? Are there opportunities? Let me see your comments. Let me read your comments. Are there opportunities? What do you think? I'm looking at the charts. What do you think? As a woman in the HSE profession, are there opportunities in the OSH profession? Are there opportunities? Yes, 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 Joy, absolutely. There are a lot of opportunities. Absolutely, Kemi. Yes, yes, there are opportunities. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So the question now is have you been able to harness such opportunities? Have you been able to, take advantage of these opportunities, considering the global trends that are there? How many of us really are bringing our best foot forward, and how many of us are latching on these opportunities? We need more women representation at the C-suite. We need more women to bring their best foot forward, to harness this opportunity. So let's look at these opportunities. So let's look at the opportunity. So there's a global expectation globally. So all of us, we know about the SDG goals, right? Sustainability development. We know the SDG goals. And so there's global body on organization for diversity and inclusion. And now it's even becoming a requirement for most investors that want to invest in most organizations. So there's this global trend, global expectation, okay, that look, there must be diversity and inclusion to fulfill our collective responsibility and our collective goals when it comes to SDG. And so because of that global pressure, there's increased campaign globally. In fact, as I speak to you right now, it is like a law right now in some states. I will show you some states in the US. It's a law. Yeah, they've passed it as a law that if you have a board and you don't have women representation in your board, the board constitution or the board composition will not be approved. So your corporate governance and the setup of your board, if you don't have some women representation, it will not, your board composition will not be approved. So because there's a lot of opportunities that our women are getting, even in Nigeria. Have you seen the trend that is happening in our banking industry? Out of the 24 or 25 key banks that we have, I think over 10 or 15, yes, over 10 or 12 of them, they now have women, if not more than, they now have women as their CEOs. And trust me, you can see from the statistics and from the results, the impact that these women are making. And actually better leaders. Yes, I said it because there are statistics and there are data to prove that. Okay. So yeah, there are also targeted and focused laws and policies on women in EHSE. Okay, and it is really beginning to look at opportunities regarding that. Okay, there is increasing number of women in leadership positions, especially at CISO level, and so you need to really position yourself. The stage is set for us. That's the truth. The stage is set for us. So we are the ones that we need to start looking at. Now, Lagos State Commission, they are doing a lot, and they are really beginning to, I mean, give a lot of positions to women. Okay, when it comes to that, and I really hope that other states would emulate, even at the national level too. There's a lot of women that are coming into leadership position. And there's a lot of opportunity for you to upskill and reskill. Okay, a lot of opportunities for you to learn new skills, digital skills, a lot of opportunity, because if you look at it, for the past like 5 years, there's been a lot of scholarships when it comes to women that are in STEM. So women that are in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, there's a lot of scholarship opportunity. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to reskill, to upskill and to relearn and unlearn and learn new skills, digital skills, okay, to really reposition yourself. There are enormous opportunities that are bound in that field. Job flexibility. COVID-19 had actually made the future of work even more interesting. There are a lot of remote work career that are available. There are a lot of diversification, innovation. You can actually be a health and safety professional and still have a digital skill, and you can still be, getting some pay through your gig job that you do aside from your job. And I know that some women right now are even working from home. I noticed that after COVID, there's been a lot of flexibility regarding, the work structure, and a lot of organizations are beginning to embrace. I know that yes, so many organizations are calling back some people back to work. I also know that some strategic and global organizations that are globally focused. Yes, they are also beginning to give opportunities for their women. Coaching and mentoring opportunity, networking opportunity, collaboration, partnership opportunities. These opportunities are enormous. Like I said, when I came into the OSH profession, I did not even have any opportunity to be mentored by anyone. We had to learn everything. I had to learn everything with my male counterpart. But right now, the case is different. You have a lot of women that you can look up to, a lot of women that you can talk to. And trust me, these are fantastic women that are very easy to approach, and they are willing to help, they are willing to support as much as possible. And there are a lot of women platforms that you can also leverage. You have Social, you have AWOSAP, you have WISE, you have lots of women platform you can leverage and connect with other women. All right. So the opportunities are very enormous, like I said. Like I said, there is a global trend now that is saying that for states like Alabama, Ohio, Arizona, and other states, even in California, there are bills that have been passed that is making it compulsory now. Global trend is showing that, look, if you don't have women representation at your board level, your board may not be constituted. So for these states, you can see that it's only 8% of such boards you will not see women. So that means that you have, for such states in the United States, you have almost 93% representation of women. I think this is a very good thing, because the percentage of board women, that means the percentage of organization without women in their board is really shrinking and it's really declining. And I really pray and I hope that this same policy, it will spread like wildfire and catch on, especially for us within the developing nations, okay, where women are beginning to be given that opportunity. Are women great leaders? Of course, these boards that have, constituted or incorporated women in their board, they will tell you that, yes, of course, women are fantastic leader. And the results are clear, very, very clear. And for the COVID-19 period, you saw that countries like Finland, Norway, Denmark, New Zealand, particularly, they had outstanding results regarding the way they managed COVID-19. In fact, all of the countries that were led by women had outstanding results regarding the way they navigated through COVID-19. So research has proven time and time again that women, of course, they have a higher score when it comes to their leadership, their leadership skills when you compare them to their male counterparts. It has been proven time and time again. In fact, Harvard Business Review, you can look at some of their statistics and some of their surveys that were conducted. Now, so the question that I want to pose to you, women, that you are on this call, the question I want to pose to you is, are you ready? Have you positioned yourself? Because there are opportunities. The stage is set, the global stage is set. You be in your house right now and still take global gig. Yes, I've had such opportunities of sitting in my home, and then I'm conducting audits across some countries of the world, Africa, and so many other places. And I'm sure some of the women on this call can tell you the same thing. So the stage is set. The question is, have you positioned yourself? Are you ready? Have you been able to look at your skill set to see which ones you can drop, which one you can upskill, which one you can reskill? Have you been able to, remove imposter syndrome and become self-aware? There's something we call self-leadership. So the ability to be able to recognize your innate abilities and then your core strength and maximize those strengths. And because the truth is this imposter syndrome is real and all of us face it. So you're not alone when it comes to this feeling of inadequacy, this feeling of I'm not enough. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're asking yourself questions and you're doubting. It is real. And even the best of us, we go through it, but you need to bulldoze through that self-imposter syndrome and become more assertive of yourself, become more confident of yourself. And it is actually called self-leadership. Leverage on technology, health and safety professionals, automation, okay, leverage on digital skills to automate your processes, become more skilled in your job such that you cannot be ignored. Look at trend analysis, look at how you can use tools. Microsoft tools are there, they are available, how you can use it to turn around your reporting and digitalize your reports. Look at things that you can do differently to reposition yourself and make yourself more relevant within the OSH profession. And one very beautiful thing about our profession is that it cuts across anything and everything. So you can leverage and you can collaborate with any of the departments within your organization if you position yourself very well and you leverage. Okay, so while I'm concluding, I think I have one or two more slides to conclude. What are the roles that organization can play specifically in supporting women in this profession? So we have looked at the role that we can play as individuals and as women. So what are the roles that organizations can play? I have a lot of them. I may not be able to touch everything because of time, but the chief of it is, establishing, friendly recruitment, gender-friendly recruitment policies, that considers inclusion in your hiring process, such that it's a policy to say that for some certain role, we need to have a balance such that it is not just only male that will be dominated in this aspect. Okay, and then of course, the Global Gender Gap Report I told you for 2024 is actually showing the gender gap score at 68.5%. So organizations are also encouraged within their own limits to conduct a pay equity analysis within their organization and actually look at how it works. Sometimes some organizations leave it open-ended and say, okay, if you can negotiate, it's your negotiating power. And then you see a male coming to take a position is able to negotiate himself into a very beautiful package, and then you as a woman, you are afraid to negotiate, and organization also not helping because there's not even any policy to even help to address unconscious biases. Organization need to address unconscious biases. Like I said, pregnant women, nursing mothers. Sometimes, you just assume in hiring that, a pregnant woman is unable to do this. It's an assumption. And it's an unconscious bias that we need to really address. And I know so many organizations that have implemented flexible work arrangements and they have instituted remote working. And I also know organizations that are also instituted, parental leave, both paternal and maternal leave, that is helping couples to navigate, through childbirth. So it is benefiting both male and female within the organization. I know some organizations in Nigeria here that have such policies. So we want to encourage more organizations to have such policies. Of course, we also want to encourage organizations to balance their leadership, their leadership positions when it comes to their workforce, especially they should key into global trend. We can see the global trend. In fact, as a matter of policy, they should even make it such that a woman will hold as much position as a man. And trust me, that board will be better off for it. As a member of several boards that I belong to, the truth is that I am mostly the only woman, or we are just about 2 or 3 of us. I miss all the other men. Okay, create a diverse and inclusive culture, foster an environment that encourages it. Also possible to set your diversity and inclusion goals. Some of these goals are only set when it has to do with ESG and when it has to do with investors. But I want to really encourage the organization to set these goals, regardless of whether it is based on audit or regulatory requirements or based on the fact that they want to score very high with their ESG. Sometimes it's actually greenwashing, right? Because some of these things are not real. You just see organization trying to establish this thing as a makeshift arrangement just because they want to score high in some of their sustainability reporting or their auditing or their audit reporting. Okay, no greenwashing really, but for real, organizations should begin to provide some of these policies, and so that they can better position themselves to align with global best practices. They should provide training and development opportunities targeted specifically at women. And again, I have one or two clients, and I really commend them. I will not mention their name. They specifically targeted their women, and there's a training they send them for specifically for leadership positioning at LBS, and it is fantastic the outcome that we are recording from such training. So organizations should target, some women, just begin to kind of, position them. If the woman is still in a supervisory role, you want to position her by, training her in leadership skills, upping her leadership skills such that she is able to, assume those roles and those responsibilities. Of course, some organizations are also looking at providing um, daycare facilities, yes, for their female nursing mothers. All right. So, and as a way of concluding the roles and responsibility at the national level, yes, again, we should look at diversity and inclusion. So we should have actually policies to address gender inequality issue, formulation of specific laws and policies that prohibit sexual harassment and violence. Specifically, I know that there's Lagos state law, like I said earlier on, and all of that, but I'm not sure at the national level all policies are in place when it comes to prohibition of sexual harassment and domestic violence. But I know that Lagos state has a law, and they don't just only have a law, they also have an office that is specifically targeted towards this. So we need a national OSH regulation and policies that is gender friendly, that is looking specifically. Right now, we have a national OSH policy that we're trying to draft, that we're trying to develop rather. And it has not really been signed off. And hopefully we are really hoping and that opportunity would come. And because I belong to a board of ISPON, I belong to the board of ISPON right now. And when I have such opportunity, trust me, I will not hesitate that, there should be, consideration, reasonable consideration when it comes to women and the work they perform, particularly within the health and safety profession. And of course, consideration regarding the design of the PPE that we use and encouraging more women in STEM. Actually, the encouragement of more women in STEM is actually very ongoing, because I know that there's a lot of scholarship and then NBT, so many government agencies. I can't remember their name readily. I know I have several. I know several government agencies that are giving a scholarship to women that are interested in STEM right now. Right? Okay. Closing thoughts. Gender equality is the unfinished business of the 21st century. So in order for us to make any significant progress, there needs to be that balance. And I said balance can only be attained with proper integration of all gender for the advancement of the SDG goals. I recall when the SDG goals first started, it started as the Millennium Goals. It started in 2010. When the Millennium Goals could not be achieved by 2000, yes, it was millennial goals. By 2010, it was the SDG goals. And we said by 2020, when 2020 came, the goalpost was shifted to 2030. Now 2030 is around the corner. The goalpost has also been shifted to 2050. Now that it has been shifted to 2050, we think that 2050 is very far away. 2050 is not far, because we were thinking when it was 2030, we thought that 2030 was very far, and it will give us sufficient time to be able to integrate all of the goals into our organization, and everybody will be talking about the SDG goals and leaving the SDG goals. But hey, the 2030 is just 5 years away from us, and we can see that we are still very far from integration. Because when you say we have made progress from 30% to 32% to 35%, it's not that kind of progress that we are looking at. We are looking at progress that will really make meaningful impacts in what we do, and that really makes very serious, meaningful impacts. Okay, so these are some of the references I made while trying to develop this slide, and I say thank you to all of you. Thank you for listening. I really hope that you have a lot of takeaways, and the call to action for us women is we should bring and put our best foot forward.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica. We are really, really inspired by your presentation today. I'm sure not just me here has learned a lot from you. A lot of people have done the same, and we are glad you were able to come up here with us today. Thank you very much. Coming up next is Cynthia Ozobu. Yes, she's coming up next, and she'll be taking us on women leading change, success stories, and the future of HSE. Cynthia Ozobu is a group lead occupational health and hygiene specialist for Dangote Sugar Refinery. Cynthia, are you here with us, please? We'll be glad to hear from you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that awesome presentation. And in my opinion, I think she has covered everything both myself and Kemi will ever have to say. But she has laid a very strong foundation to allow me to speak to you in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And please indulge me to start up the presentation now. I'll be discussing women leading change, specifically the success stories and the future of HSE, and where does the woman, or where are the USH female professionals? Where do you see yourself in that future? That being said, and when we talk about success, I think she has also used herself. When I was preparing this, I said, should I bring her up as a success story? But she is already here telling you the success, her own challenges and how she grew from where she is. And I think that's a very perfect example for a success story. Without wasting more of our time, basically, I'll be speaking through some of the success stories that I have prepared. What does the landscape of HSE really is? And where does the woman in this profession positioning herself to grasp, explore these emerging opportunities that are coming up? Dr. Monica actually talked a lot about actionable things organizations could make to make more inclusiveness in HSE teams, considering both genders, right? And I'll just a little bit touch on that, but she has done a very excellent conversation around that. So for me, I will more like sit around what is the future, right? So to start, as a start of my presentation, I will want to ask you, why are you in this profession? I'm not intending that you answer that, just have that as we begin this conversation. I love this book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. For everything we do, if you're going to succeed in that, you must know your why. Your why is a personal thing. And it is that why, that reason that will allow you to propel when the challenges are high, when things come up that are not expected. It allows you to bounce back. At some point, I will share my own personal story in the process of starting with why. But I want to also tell you that whilst we've heard Dr. Monica say that in some countries or in some states in the United States, that a board composition should have a certain percentage of women there. I mean, you should be positioned well to even fit into that place, right? But I also want to be more realistic, and this is my personal opinion, and also being someone who has held a different level of leadership position. I do a lot of horizon scanning. If we follow the news of what's happening in the United States with President Trump coming in and scrapping a lot of DEI programs, and the list goes on and on. Yes, we have the SDG goals that 5 is all about equality and all the story. But here is a president who is disrupting what we are used to say that it should be on a merit base, that you just being a woman and not having what it takes does not give you that position. I think that's also a very good foundation for us to begin to ask ourselves, what is my why? Why am I here? What do I want to do? And to be realistic, HSE, health, safety, and environment as a profession has actually gone beyond just risk assessment, wearing your PPEs, having ISO 9001, 5001, and all of those things for more. And you should be able to place yourself to give them more so as to position yourself to explore the emerging opportunities in leadership when it comes to the USH profession. And why is that? Because we bring our own uniqueness into it. Doctor has presented a lot of information around convenience, PPE, and doing the proper risk assessment, considering both genders, because we are also faced in different ways. In my own space, I've done a lot of work around exposures to different genders and exclusively to women, and how it's a little bit different from what men are, and how the controls that we have and we have adopted all our life are all focusing on that we have more in the population when these controls were explored. So we just continue doing the old things. There is nothing disrupting that system. To think about, to say, wait a second, are we considering everybody in this mix properly? So you can only bring in that voice, needs to be that level in that room. The truth is that this is just beyond gender equality. This is just beyond having balance of male and women. We must have the balance, but it must be women who have positioned themselves. And that's what we're trying to say. It's important that we have women in leadership because it actually drives innovation. Fostering innovation and diversity, the benefits are enormous. It improves the way decisions are made. So if we do not have that, this is creative. What I was saying is when you have a woman leading profession in any space where they are, they get to understand. For example, you see a mother, somebody who is not the child, not properly cared for or provided for, when they present this to the management, they will come from a place of understanding, presenting it. So in all ramification, having women placed in that position to drive innovation, drive diversity, and help to improve the making is critical. And that is why we're trying to rebrand and make sure we have the right representation on the sport. That being said, if we want to be that woman leader in the OSH profession, sorry about the, I don't know, I've tried to switch networks now, and I hope it stays till I finish this presentation. We're talking about what are the cases we've seen successful stories in OSH profession as it revolves around women, right? But I also want to, before we dive into that, I also want us to, first of all, ask ourselves what is success to what does that mean to you? Because what it means to me might be different from what it means to you, really, and that's the truth. But in anything that defines success for you, there is an illusion that is around there. What people see is when you are successful. What we all saw is when this person became this, right? But what people don't see is the focus, the failures, the persistence, the rejections, the consistency, the sacrifice, the risks, the work, hard work, and the list goes on and on and on. What am I trying to say? If you want to position yourself as a leader in OSH profession and as a woman, you need to put in all of this. Understand your why, understand the niche that you have carved for yourself, have a plan on how to drive that, put in the work before that success actually comes, so that you're able to position yourself to get to that place. Because for every successful person that you see, based on the definition of what success means, if they tell you their story, you may begin to, it's not just about inspiring. It's good to inspire because that's one of the attributes of a leader. But after inspiration, are you ready to put in the work in order to achieve that success? That is very, very critical. And that is what we'll be talking about in a few spaces. And I will share my story. You already heard the story of Dr. Monica. My story is very simple. I came from a medical background. From beginning, at some point, something happened in my life. There was an exposure to chemical, and I lost my relative close to me, and that drove me. Knew I was going to get to focusing more on the H in the health and safety as my own personal motivation. I had my why, because one of my why is I don't see a reason why someone working in the petroleum, exposed to benzene, going out to work and provide for their family should die. I knew my why. When I spoke to some of my colleagues, my mentors, then at some point that I wanted to hone the skill and then dive into that, some of the licensing and credentialing that I needed as a CIH was daring, to be honest. Practically, it took me like 18 months to even prepare for it. And I can tell you that even with my going to work, I had to make time in all of those things. You need to be conscious and make time to achieve that, what your success is. I remember my line manager looking at one of the books that I was studying over time and said to me, and in his words, Cynthia, I don't know what you're doing, but for me, I cannot do this. I will never do this. I will just laugh. Whenever I wanted to drop, there were times I became destabilized. I said, what kind of thing is this? He was my mentor who I latched onto. He spoke to me. He's not even Nigerian. He said, you're almost on the finishing line, right? Continue. This is, also share these dreams of what you want to be successful in that will check it on you when that spirit is low. For everybody who has been successful, there have been minutes or moments they decided to throw in the towel. And I will tell you the truth. Moving on, there is a lady I admire. I call her Constance. She doesn't know she's on my slides today. She's also my personal friend. I met her 14 years ago, and we've been friends till today. This is the lady who I had a child in. In fact, I remember carrying Zoe, that her daughter, all through when she was making her presentation defending. I know the lead faculty asked her to defer her admissions and all of that because of pregnancy and all of that. But this is somebody who has a strong will. She's almost concluding her doctorate at the moment. She's a trailblazer in doing a lot of wonders, not just in the United Kingdom at the moment, but across the globe, because she has spoken in different platforms across the world in different conferences in the space of occupational health and safety. She's somebody I admire so much. I don't know how she does it. At the moment, she has 3 kids, all grown up with a family, all of it, juggling all of that together. We have Monica here as well. So the truth is, we have people who have been successful. If you sit her down now and ask her success story, part which I know, you will be amazed how she was able to go through all of that. But the truth of the matter is, in all the ladder of going to become successful, you must have a supporting framework, a supporting people or group, be it your close family, your partner, children, whatever it is for you to be able to go through that. She is somebody I admire. Imagine being a lecturer, not in a Nigerian university as well, a change specialist at the core of her profession, and has held the podium at different levels of conference across the globe. This is, for me, somebody I sometimes, when things also gets challenging, I say, Constance, how do you do this? What I'm trying to reiterate here is that success is never ending. Here we have finished masters, somebody else jumped to PhD, and it continues like that. It is not ending. So it's important that you look at the people around you, review the people that you have around you as you go through that success journey, that success ladder, to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. So I can never, ever underestimate the importance of having the right mentors, right? That has helped me at the point I began to explore mentorship, having a mentor, right? Because I grew up in this profession at some point earlier in career, just trying to figure out a lot of things myself. But I'm happy that these things are changing at the moment. And I'm hoping that the female OSH profession, not just in Nigeria, but in West Africa, will be able to latch onto these things that are now before them. So let me go into what the future is in the next 5 years. What is the landscape? If you are actually looking at health and safety as though that normal health and safety before, I think you may be doing a wrong thing for yourself in terms of career. Health and safety have moved way, way, way above all of those operational things, and even to an extent beyond the ISOs, because you must be able to do a proper horizon scan and see where the future is going. We are talking about artificial intelligence, data analytics, because they are critical in honing those skills to help you predict risks before they happen. It's all about, health and safety is all about being proactive, right? So if you see a technology that helps you to be able to do that, are we exploring that? I'm not saying you're going to explore everything I'm going to present on this slide today, but it's just to get you thinking on what you need to start looking around and how you could integrate it with the skills that you have now. Convergence between health, safety, and environment and ESG. A lot of companies are integrating sustainability into their safety policies. My company is one, right? When we all started, sustainability had to stand apart. At some point, they integrated everything because we all speak to ourselves. Are you able to stand on that space? Is that what it is for you? If AI technology is not doing that for you, are you exploring the ESG convergence with HSE? If you are you trying to make sure that your skill stands part to what is being required? Technology, again, a lot of different ways to deploy training. Visual reality simulations are actually making waves. Are you exploring honing those skills or exploring it in delivering some technical trainings around health and safety that will be very impactful in your organization? This is just for you to get think. The last but not least is around psychosocial safety and mental well-being at work. This is a topic that is not ending anytime soon. Thankfully, COVID launched this thing out, and ISO developed a supporting management system on psychosocial risk. And a lot of people are not talking about it, but has the potential to position you at some point to manage a risk in a particular organization and position you even to those global opportunities or gigs that you may be looking out for. Because that it is not clearly happening here in Nigeria does not mean that other countries are not exploring mental well-being as a special skill that can be integrated with health and safety to be able to address that in their organization and in their sphere. So my question to you is, which trend will be the biggest impact in your industry currently, and what are you doing about it? Or what do you intend to do about it, hearing from us all today? As a means of wrapping up all these trends that I've tried to lay before you, is that there are opportunities in leadership roles in those things. There are specialized roles, not just in environmental, but occupational health, which is also coming before us all. There is a shift from those traditional health and safety expectations and technical know-how, but blending it with all of these trends that are all coming up. And that goes to say that even this year's World Safety Day, which is all about technology driven, right? That is to tell you the alertness even on the global world. So my question is, are you trying to leverage on all of these opportunities? Around what organizations can do for all inclusivity, right? He talks a lot about continuous training and development. She talked about mentorship, sponsorship programs, and I want to sit on all of those things. So we can as well as say we are women, we have work at home and all of that, which is very true, extremely true. But how bad do you want it? What is your why? You need to understand your why and create a continuous training and development of your skills in order to be able to position yourself. And when the discussions around having equality, inclusion, and diversity comes up, you have what it takes to fit in that C-suite. Do not in any way underestimate mentorship. I have more than 10 mentors, and I speak to them at different points, depending on what it is. Do not underestimate the importance. So I encourage everyone on this call to not just listen to this and be emotional at this point or get inspired for this moment, but just to take this out and come up with an actionable things that you will do for yourself to position yourself as that future leader, as in the OSH profession and as a woman. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia Ozobu. That was another exciting, inspiring presentation. It was really awesome. Thank you very much for coming up. We appreciate your presence and your presentation. I'm sure it has really gotten to us. And like you said, we will not just be emotional about it. We'll do well to put into practice what we have learned from this webinar today. Thank you very much, Cynthia, for the presentation. If you're just joining us, you're highly welcome to the Green Shield webinar themed Women in HSE profession, the challenges, the triumph, and the road ahead. We have heard from Dr. Monica, we have heard from Cynthia Ozobu, and coming up next will be Mrs. Oluwakemi. Mrs. Oluwakemi will be taking us on work-life balance and career advancements in HSE. She's currently the Vice Chair for IOSH West Africa. Mrs. Oluwakemi, are you here with us, ma'am? Are you ready for us, ma'am?
Yes, I'm here. Confirm you can hear me, please.
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay,
All
over
right.
to you, ma'am. We are ready to hear from you.
Okay, thank you so much, Green Shield. Thank you so much, Kelechi. And thank you so much to my mentors, Dr. Monica and Cynthia. In fact, I'm just going to, they're really taking us through the whole presentation that is going to happen today, which mine is just the third one. And I will just be giving summary. But before I start, let me just give a brief about who Oluwakemi Aromusoye is. So I have 14 years experience in the HSE profession, and I've worked in the marine industry, oil and gas. So, and I have a lot of certifications, which in these years of working, I've had to balance between work, career, and family, which I will be talking more about my story much later. So the marine industry is a high risk industry that's in fact, when I started my career there, um, I faced a lot of challenges because it's a male-dominated industry that anytime I'll have to go on board, they'll just be like, ah, madam, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed at some point when I was pregnant, I had to carry my pregnancy to go on board too. But for me, I saw it as exercise and all, but that's the way I've moved my career to where it is and balancing family, work, and career. So my topic as the presenter said, is I'll be speaking on work-life balance and how we'll be able to advance our career in HSE. So the key outline is I'll be navigating the demands of high-risk profession while maintaining personal well-being, strategies for career progress without burnout, the role of employers in supporting work-life integration for women in HSE, because the truth is we as employee, we have our own role to play. Employer has their own role to play. Even the HRO in each organization has our own role to play, because if the HRO is able to convince the employer that, okay, this is why this should be, then of course it's going to happen. So now, how do we balance work-life and work-life success? First, I'm going to start by telling you more about what work-life balance is. It's just about creating and maintaining a supportive and healthy work environment, which enable you to balance between work, personal responsibility, and of course, your career and your employee. So now, how do you balance that for you to be successful? Now, you'll be balancing your work, balancing your career. What's your career? Like for me, every year I come up with a to-do list for the year to say, okay, these are all the certifications I need to achieve in this year. These are all the conferences I need to attend and all that. So I have that planned. Because now my work activities, where I work, and all, of course, it's a continuous process. But now, how am I able to balance between my work and my career? That's the thing. Then of course, family. I'm a mother of three, which my first son is 9 already. He's going to be 10 soon. So you can see how starting my career, I started as a single woman and I got married. So I have 14 years experience. So you can see how I've been able to balance between the family, the work and career and all that. And of course, your well-being. Because if you don't have this work-life balance, your health is going to suffer. Your health is going to suffer. So now, how do you now balance between work? For me, I work 9 to 5, and in the industry I work, it's actually 24 hours because you can get called up at any point in time, even in the middle of the night. But I've been able to plan, okay, from this time to this time, I'll do this. From this time to after work, I'm going to have time with my family. And of course, when my kids go to bed and I've settled everybody, in case I have maybe books or something to read, I go back, read. And at the end of the day, I go to bed. So I've been able to balance it, that it's not affecting my health. It's not, I'm not stressing myself too much. And that's why my work-life balance has been very successful. Sometimes my colleagues in the office, sometimes they just say, oh, Kemi, how do you do this? But the truth is, if you don't set a goal for yourself, you will not be able to achieve anything really. So you have to tell yourself, what really do I want to achieve? How am I able to do this? You just have to balance so that one doesn't suffer. So now, what's the component of a work-life balance? When you talk about work-life balance, the component is time management. To get how do you prioritize your time? Do you say because you're working, or because you just want to prove something to your employee that, oh, you are the best worker and all that? Well, if you are there, you're not there, the organization will still decide. How are you able to now balance this with your career? How are you able to balance this with your family? That your children, they are not saying, oh, it's been a while my mom has taken me out, or it's been a while, oh, my mom, even if of course you're going to have a nanny and all that, but at the end of the day, you must still have time for your family. So that time management, it's very important. Stress management. How are you able to now manage stress? Because Of course, I live in Lagos, and Lagos alone is even stress on its own. But the thing is, how are you able to balance it that is not affecting you psychologically? That's what you should think about. Your self-management. This is where all the things that you want to achieve, your career goals and all, it comes in. How are you able to now balance your self-management? Change management, change is constant. So as an individual, you have to be open for change. Just imagine in 2020 when the pandemic came, whoever saw that there'll be a time in Nigeria to say that we'll be working from home. Because of course, employers rather, they always say, oh no, they don't always like to like their staff to work remotely, because they just feel that, oh, they're not going to get that work activities that they need, or that productivity of that person. So you just have to be open for change. Change is constant. Now everybody's talking about AI. Technology has come to play. So now, as an HSE professional, the question is, how are you able to now imbibe this technology that has come to play? It's just like like Cynthia mentioned, the World Day for Safety. It's about AI. This year is about AI. So at some point, even some of us HSE practitioners, we are already kind of scared in a way that, oh, at some point AI may be coming to do, for example, risk assessment. Maybe it's AI. They'll just send one robot to come and do a risk assessment for a job that wants to be done and all that. But the thing is, we all need to be open for that change. Technology, which I've talked about, of course, leisure. Don't say because you're working, because you have family, because you're doing this, you don't have time for yourself. Leisure is very important. You can just take a time to go and rest, go and have holiday, go and enjoy your life, because whether you're there or you're not there, life will continue. So you need to create that leisure time for yourself, create it, and it's going to help you. So now, the work-life triangle, the way it works is, you have to think of your work. Your work is your career, your housework, your office work, your self-care. How are you able to care for yourself spiritually, physically, intellectual, emotionally, health, wellness, and exercise? It's very important to do exercise. You get, like, Cynthia is one person that sometimes I even wonder how she does it. You get that she doesn't joke with her exercise every day. You get, so it's very, very good to just learn how to balance these things. Your relationship, what's your personal relationship with people? What's your friendship with people? The professional body that you're a member, what's your relationship with the people over there? You understand? Your spouse, what's your relationship with your spouse? Is it that because you have a lot of work, a lot of targets to meet at work, and it's affecting your relationship with your spouse? You get, what's your relationship with your children, that you're able to balance these things? So that's what we as an individual, we need to talk about. So Dr. Monica has already spoken about some key statistics, which I'll just continue from where she stopped, and all in regards to the work-life balance. Approximately 50% of working women report experience high levels of stress daily, and that's the truth. Stress from work, and stress from maybe family and all that, because like they will always say, this life no balance. There will always be stress, but how are you able to manage it is the question. So of course, 50% of working women report experience high level of stress daily, compared to about 40% of men. So that means we women, we stress ourselves more than the men. I know, because of course men, what they are thinking about is how they will bring food to the table. But as women, we have a lot that we are going to think about. So 2/3 of women in high flexible work arrangement plan to stay with their employer for over 3 years, whereas only 19% of women without such flexibility instead to do the same. During the pandemic, about 34% of women reported frequent burnouts, higher than 26% reported by men. About 47% of women felt they have flexibility in choosing where and how much they work, compared to 58% of men. So a majority of women believe that having children can negatively impact their career, with nearly 2/3 experiencing this concern. It's just like what Monica said during her presentation, that she knew about someone that when she was pregnant, the company was like, oh, you need to listen. Of course, I've been in that shoe before, you get, because I remember when I was pregnant for my second son, when the tummy started showing, my employer was like, Kemi, why are you pregnant? How are you going to board this vessel? How are you going to conduct your internal audit? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do this? And they started giving me one issue or the other, but I didn't even allow that. In that state of my pregnancy, I got another job. So that's to tell you that when one door closes, another door opens. So now what's the benefit of work-life balance? One of the benefits is work-life balance increases the motivation of employees and helps them perform better at work at their job. Of course, if you're not being stressed from home, you're not having some family issues, everything is good, you come to work and you'll be able to work well to get. Then it also helps, part of the benefit is it helps people to relieve their stress as they can spend lecture time with their near or dear ones. Companies can also minimize productivity from an employee who is rejuvenated and refreshed as compared to a overworked employee. That's why your leisure is very, very important. Don't say you want to be working. Create time. Just go for a holiday. Just take your family out. Weekends like this, after having a long stress of week, just take your family out and just go and relax and come back again after the holiday to say, okay, where are we and all that. So your health is very, very important. You need to have that healthy lifestyle. Don't say, oh, because you're working, maybe you don't even remember to eat, or you don't even remember to eat some healthy food. You just eat whatever you see. No, you need to have that healthy lifestyle so that it will be able to balance your work-life activities. So part of the benefit is employees who are highly motivated can even help the business grow as they are more attached to their jobs and career. So what are the steps to improve work-life balance? One is creating a work-leisure plan. Even in organizations now, organizations are beginning to do some leisure activities. Just like last month, where I currently work, we had to go to Lakwe for leisure activities and all. And because the owner of the company saw that, oh, this everybody has worked so hard. It's just he had to lodge us there for 2 days. That's for us to relax our mind. So that's what organizations should start thinking. That's why the fact that you want your employee to be productive. At least create that work leisure plan for them to. Even as an individual, you need to also create that work leisure plan for yourself. You need to have that have that plan, your day plan or your year plan. Don't have a waste time and waste energy this thing, because if you don't have a plan, how do you now want to achieve what you say you want to achieve? Because you have to go back to your drawing board to say, okay, this is done, all these others, they are yet to be done and all that. But when you don't have a plan, you continue to waste your time, you waste your energy. Like for me, actually, I try to be productive in where I can. I try not to waste my time on things that's not going to even bring anything to me. You get outsourcing work. It's important for women that are in leadership position in organizations to delegate or outsource time consuming to other people in the organization. Don't say, oh, because you want to see that you are the best employer of the year, you want to carry all the work on your head, forgetting that you can actually delegate. You can actually delegate, because the truth is you'll not even be able to achieve all those things that you say you want to achieve when you don't delegate. So you need to also set enough time for relaxation. Very important. And prioritize your work. If you don't prioritize your work, trust me, you're not going to achieve anything, really. You won't. So what are the benefits of healthy work-life balance? You need to improve your physical and mental health. You need to try to reduce stress. You need to have that greater job satisfaction. The reason why you're seeing to improve this is I'm trying to reemphasize that it's very important as an individual to reduce stress and improve physical and mental health, because these are the things that these are part of the risk that you face trying to have a work-life balance. So how to achieve healthy work-life balance? I came up with this acronym: set boundaries between work and personal time. You can't say when it's supposed to be personal time, you're doing work activities. Then how do you want to balance, have that work-life balance? How do you now take breaks throughout the day? Do you just sit down from 9 to 5 on your decks? It's only maybe when you want to use the restroom or when you want to no, have that frequent breaks so that it helps you. Schedule time for hobbies and your interests. Delegate tasks when possible. Say no to extra work. Take vacations. Very, very important. Very important. Don't say because because you want to just work so that they recognize you this year. Because of that, everybody has you can go on leave, and you say no, you don't want to go on leave and all that. You go on leave, you don't go on leave, work continues. So please endeavor to take vacations. Practice relaxation techniques. Consider hiring a virtual assistant or additional talent. Just think of something to seek professional help when needed. So now, what's the benefit of having this work-life balance with employees? One, better time management, autonomy and personal employees growth, increased focus, employees engagement, personal well-being. So benefits to the employer: improve productivity of employees, reduce absenteeism and lateness, reduce employees turnover, reputation build up. So for the role of HR to achieve this work-life balance in an organization is what you need to plan the work, job analysis, specification, description, providing a flexi approach towards work, being empathic towards the employee. See, over time, in fact, sometimes I just even wonder these HRs that they are employing these days, they are not empathic at all. Do you get? They are not. And I don't know how employers keep employing such people. Providing a space for personal lives of the employees, family get together at the workplace, conduct frequent training programs, effective communication system, organization culture, workers' participation in management. So according to Steve Jobs, he quoted, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. Because over time, I just some people that have come to me to maybe mentor them on something, they just want to settle for less. And I'm like, why do you want to settle for less? Because I don't know whether I'll see another one, another job, and all that. But at the end of the day, don't settle. You need to ask yourself, what do you want to become? What do you really want to become? You want to become health, safety, and environment. What's your focus? Is it on health? Is it on safety? Is it on environment? Or you want to focus on the three? You understand what's really your focus? That's the question you ask yourself. And what in that area, then it's going to help you not to just settle for less. So how to overcome career advancement challenges? Because the truth is, trying to have a work-life balance, you will always definitely have challenges. But how can you overcome these challenges? One, you need to build that confidence. You need to build that confidence. Like someone like me, when I want to achieve something, I just like going to people or speaking to someone that I know that I'll get that inspiration for me to build that confidence. You get, because the truth is, there'll be people that will want to discourage you and say, you relax, hey, this, that. But don't get discouraged. Have that inner confidence in you. Even if someone discourages you, you ask yourself, what really do I want to become? What career advancement the next career advancement do I want to get to? You get that will help you boost your confidence. You need to assess your company's advancement opportunity. Of course, there are some organizations that they have this advancement opportunity. If they have, you need to assess it. But if they don't, and maybe there is no way for you to climb from one ladder to another, for me, that means there is no career growth in such organization. You need to meet with your managers to determine advancement opportunity. If you don't know, just meet with your manager and they'll be able to guide you to that. You need to enlist the help of a career counselor, because it's just like Cynthia said, she has over 10 mentors. That means from one stage of things to the other, she has mentors to that. Same as me too. You get, like I said, Madam Monica, Cynthia, they are my mentors. When I need when I need something for them to advise me on, I go to them. And they are always willing to help. You get, so it's very, very important to just have that open dialogue with people so that they'll be able to guide you through every stage of your career. And for me, it's forward ever, not backward ever. You get, forward ever. So you need to now use your professional communication platforms. Currently, I happen to be the vice chair of IOSH, which has helped me in the growth of my career. So it has helped me a lot. And in achieving this, people like Dr. Monica, Cynthia, they all guided me through to where I am, and they are still guiding me through. So it's very, very important you have that professional communication platform. Yet, for career advancement in health, safety, and environment, you have to gain industry-specific certification. See, I always tell people, There are different industry. Like me, I work in the marine industry. See, the certifications I need in the marine industry, it may differ for the construction industry, it may differ for the manufacturing industry, but there are some basic ones that cut across all industry. You get for the marine industry, after you have had your neighbors, you have had this, you have had this, you will still have to have a DPA, which is a designated person assure training. You need to you need to have like an internal, either internal auditor, either lead internal auditor or normal internal auditor for MLC, which is the Marine Labour Congress, ISM, International Safety Management, and ISPS, which is the International Ship and Security Ports. So depending on the industry that you find yourself, that's going to guide you on the other certification. But of course, the core ones could be your NIBOSH certifications. Because you can have some IOSH. IOSH has a lot of certifications that you can achieve. Of course, you can decide to go for the OSHAs and all. They have a lot of certification. They want 24 hours, the 32 hours, and so on and so forth. You can decide to do the ISO courses, maybe lead auditor or the normal internal auditor, depending on what your course says and what actually you want to achieve with all those things. And again, if your focus is more of the environmental management system, you want to go into you may want to do courses with Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment. And again, a lot of people are now beginning to have CSP. Of course, if you have CSP, there are some criteria before you should meet for you to do your CSP. But if you don't have those things, you can decide to do ASP, which is the Associate Safety Professional. So depending on where you want to see yourself, or the industry or the country actually you want to see yourself, that will guide you on what to do. So how do you now develop technical and soft skills? It's just like what Monica said, you have to reskills and all that. So how do you develop these soft skills? You must develop a technical skills. One, your technical skills could be like risk assessment and hazard analysis, incident investigation and root cause analysis, regulatory compliance and policy. Because now the industry that you find yourself, it's just like the industry where I work in, marine industry, you must continue to read regulations. Do you understand? You will continue to read regulations because everything you do is guided with that regulation. Just like recently we got a bigger vessels. Having that bigger vessels is different. The way we are going to operate in the coastal states where that vessel will operate is different from having the other smaller vessels. They are different distance. So now I'm beginning to now read regulations because of the gross tonnage of that vessel is bigger and it has to meet international best practices and all that. So depending on this, you need to try to follow up with regulatory compliance and all that and try to impact that. Part of technical skills is knowing the emergency response planning and the crisis management you face in the industry and your organization as a whole. What are the soft skills? It's just like what Cynthia and then Dr. Monica said, leadership training. Like Monica said, organizations are beginning to now even imbibe that in their in the company. So it's very, very important that you do that. Communication. Over time, we have had issues with communication. Had issues with communication. So it's good to just do those sort of soft skill training and all that. Problem solving and adaptability is another soft skill. Emotional intelligence. Now there are a lot of training providers offering emotional intelligence and all that. Even sometimes you can just even go to Udemy. There are a lot of all these soft skills training that you can even do. So now, how do you build a strong professional network? You must be members of this thing. How did I know Dr. Monica? How did I know Cynthia? It was professional networking, and it has built our relationship to where it is today and all that. Like Monica said, she's a member of ASSP. I'm a member of ASSP. She's ISPON. I'm ISPON. She's IOSH. I am IOSH. The same thing for Cynthia. And that's how we have built our professional networking and have strengthened our relationship to where it is today. There are a lot of professional bodies to join. IRSM is there. Different ones depending on what really you want to get from each of these. The truth is, all these professional body involves money. The first question you ask yourself is, what do I want to use this membership for? Because the truth is, you can't be members to all the membership body in the world. You can't. But you need to know why you want to be a member of ABCD like that. Did all the membership body, and it's very important you join them. So you need to gain hands-on experience, and how to gain hands-on experience is to participate in on-site safety inspections and audits. because that's the only way this is just like Madam Monica now. She's a consultant. I'm sure she started her career as working, and what it has built her, it was the experience she gained when she was working that she's using it now as a consultant and all. Right now, a lot of safety professionals, HSE professionals, despite the fact that we're working, we also consult, and that is the word gaining hands-on experience. You need to specialize in a niche area. How do you do that? One, you need to understand, for example, like I said, I work in the maritime industry. You need to understand the management system. What is the for me, I'm just speaking now for my industry. What's the maritime safety and compliance you need to adhere to? What's the environmental sustainability? What's the occupational health and industrial hygiene that you need to specialize on? What's the process safety and so on? Even for construction, what's the construction safety and all that? That's your specialty and all. So you need to seek mentorship. Like every other speaker that said today, you need to seek mentorship and coaching, because you cannot get to that stage without someone guiding you in one way or the other. Without someone guiding you, you get, except you want to fail, because you will definitely need one person or two or so many to guide in your career. See what Cynthia said. For every stage, as she progresses in life, she has different mentors, and that is what each and everyone should have. You need to stay updated with regulatory changes, because there will be changes. Changes is what's is constant. So you need to stay up to date with that. You need to move into leadership and management role. Don't say, as women, you get, like Dr. Monica said, she gave us a statistic in the US and all that. Look at a lot of people that are in the boards, board members, they are women. So that's what you should just like when I started my career. Me, I was aiming to be in the leadership, and today I am, and all that. I was aiming for that. So all my mentors guided me through, and that's why you see where I am, I'm still aiming for more. So that's it. So you need to enhance data and digital proficiency. The world is changing. Technology has come to play, so we can't even this thing. April 28th, International World Day for Safety. It's all about AI, all about technology. So how do you now bring technology into your system and all that? How do you now contribute to the HSE community? It's very, very important to contribute to the HSE community in one way or the other. When they are hosting meetings, go, because that's the only way you network. When they are hosting webinars, attend, because that's the only way you will network with people. And to end my presentation in conclusion, never become so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. And that's the truth. You just want to make a living, work, make money. You need to have a life. And that's how I'll end my presentation. Thank you all for listening, and thank you to the organizer of this webinar. Over to you, Kelechi. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Kemi. This presentation was quite educative. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma. And to all those who joined the webinar from the beginning to this time, we are really grateful. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for your presence here. And yes, we have come to the end of the presentation, and now it's the question and answer section. For those that joined us while Mrs. Kemi was speaking, she is Mrs. Kemi, and she is the Vice Chair, IOSH, West Africa. And we've had other speakers, Dr. Monica Nwosu and Cynthia Ozobu. They've taken us on insightful topics. And if you missed any parts, not to worry, we'll send you the recorded webinar to your email, just in case you missed any part of the webinar. Okay, now is the question and answer section. If you have questions, kindly drop them at the question and answer box, and we would respond to those questions one after the other. But right now we have a few questions here. And the first is for Dr. Monica from Chike. He says, "Hello, Madam Monica. In my work, I have seen a huge increase of women in the HSE industry. How do we maintain this increase and propel to higher leadership position?" Hello, Dr. Monica. Can you hear me?
Yes, Casey, I can hear you.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Okay, so
All right.
this person is saying, how do we maintain the increase and propel to higher leadership position in the
Okay,
HSE field?
thank you, Casey. Actually, Cynthia and Kemi actually have answered this question in their presentation, but I'll try to also summarize what they have, talked about. And I'm glad that Chike had noticed a greater increase in women in EHS profession. And Cynthia actually started with a very insightful thought. It says that she said that you need to understand your why. I know that yes, a lot of persons, accidentally came into the health and safety profession. Maybe you left school, you didn't know what to do, you just felt I need to do something to keep body and spirit together. And then you happen to just enter into the health and safety by happen chance. But the truth remains that you cannot then remain in the profession just by situationship. You then need to clearly define your why. Why am I in this industry? What is my focus? What is my goal? What's my vision? You need to have a clear vision of why you're in this industry. What is the niche I want to carve out for myself? And Kemi did justice to that. I mean, her presentation was very detailed. She talked about you need to, craft a niche for yourself regardless of the industry you belong, because the health and safety is one industry where you can craft a niche for yourself. So define your why, craft a niche for yourself, develop your competence. It is important that you build on your technical and your soft skills. Then you need to really build on it. And in order for you to be able to become more self-assertive, because sometimes self-impostor, that impostor syndrome is what is hindering a lot of us. And most of the reasons is because we are not very confident of who you are. And then finally, for you to also, see yourself in that higher leadership position, you need to volunteer. Kemi was talking about the fact that I met her through professional networking, yes, and we have built a very beautiful relationship over the years, even including Cynthia. And I mean, Cynthia sees me and she calls me auntie. I mean, we have a very beautiful relationship. And it all started through professional networking, volunteering. Volunteer, make yourself visible. Whenever there are health and safety events, I know you may not be able to attend all of the events. Come for the event, whether you are a member or you are not a member, even if you're not a full member, nobody would stop you from attending some of these events. Some of these events were recently I also had a physical event that was open for everybody within the USH industry. Make yourself available, volunteer for this for different positions, and before you know it, your work will be recognized. And when leadership opportunity come, you're ready to position yourself to take on those leadership positions. I hope that helps, Chike.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Monica. Yeah, we are glad you responded, and I'm sure Chike has taken notes of all that you said here today. Okay, moving on, we have another question here from Miracle, and he says, there is this gender confidence gap mind that beats that women only apply to jobs when they meet 100% of the qualifications, whereas men apply to jobs when they meet only 60% of the qualifications. This could be a barrier to the opportunities for occupational health and safety for women. How can we resolve this? How can we solve this issue? How can it be solved? I think it's not to a particular speaker, but anybody can respond.
Yeah, I will just start and I will allow Kemi and Cynthia to also add their voices. And
Okay.
Miracle, yes, very good observation. And it is something, even as someone that recommends persons to organization for roles, it is something I have observed. And again, it has to do with that imposter syndrome. Most of the time, women, we have this fear of inadequacy, not having that confidence. Kemi was talking about building on your confidence, and I think I also touched on that. Imposter syndrome is real, but you need to build your confidence. And one of the ways to build your confidence is to develop your skill sets, both the technical and the soft skills. Because one of the things that would help to build your confidence is knowledge. I mean, that confidence of knowing. You will see that, in fact, 60% is even too much. 40% qualification, and a guy has already applied for the role. But the woman would want to be sure and double check herself before she puts her best foot forward. The truth is, if you put your best foot forward and you fail, it is another opportunity for you to learn. Don't see failure itself as something negative. See it as something that you can learn from. When you want to fail, like they say you fail forward. Take your learnings and check yourself. Where did I get it wrong? But not trying is what is not acceptable. Like Cynthia said, do you want us to tell you our stories and how many times we tried and we failed? All of this glory and facade you're seeing, there's a lot of stories behind them, right? So how we can resolve this is for us to let the women know that they are enough. Put your best foot forward. If you fail forward. You take your learning, try again and try again. And that is actually one of the traits of a leader, the ability to be able to fail again, pick up yourself, and then fail forward, take your learnings and move forward. So that is how we can resolve this. And of course, also talk to mentors, talk to people that have been there before. And if you're afraid and you're not sure, talk to people, approach them, talk to them. All right. Several persons will say that I'm their mentors from afar. I'm a mentor to a lot of people from afar, but only very few people have had the boldness to approach me. There was one time I was in an event and someone was talking about Madam Nwosu, and I was right there behind them. They didn't even know who Madam Nwosu was. And I tapped that and I said, do you know who Madam Nwosu was? She said, no, I know that she's one of the women in health and safety. Someone was just laughing beside them. I said, she's the one. And they said, don't even know. You've not even bothered to approach her. You've not even bothered to speak with her. And you say she's your mentor. How? And I'm behind you. I don't even know you. All right. So I think I'll just allow either Kemi or Cynthia to also say one or two things. All right. Thank you.
Okay, I would just jump in just to say, I think you mentioned it, but I will give you, I try to give examples, right? I think we are just very conservative as individuals and as Africans. I follow a very known consultant, professional, a doctor who is helping people in career, Dr. Adi on Instagram. She's this kind of people that tell you, don't carry your market on your head like gala. Package your story. Sometimes has it happened to me? Yes. But when I start talking to people, even a little bit outside of my space, they will just tell you, you've done a lot. Recently, I put myself forward for an award in the US. Yes, it came back. They said, thank you for what you're doing in West Africa and Nigeria specifically. But on this occasion, you didn't get to be the award winner. But please tell the people that nominated you to put in your name again in the next year. What I'm trying to say is that not all the time you get the yes. You own your story. Sometimes you may not know how to knit it all together. That's where the function of a mentor comes in, to rewrite that story and present it in a way that when you start reading about that, your CV and how you have impact, because everything you do is about impact. So you don't just send in anything and just say, I'm not qualified. We are just too reserved, right? And I'm sure a lot of us will understand what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that if you do not try, you will not know. And it doesn't hurt to try. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Cynthia and Madam Monica. And that's the truth. Because really, if you don't try, you will never know that you can. It's just like because the truth is every stage of your career, people are actually watching you. And that's why Madam Monica, that person that even said that you were the person's mentor and you actually did not know. Because maybe there is something that you post on maybe LinkedIn or any of the social media that the person is taking from you. And that's the fact. People will always watch you. Because it's just like when I even won these Irish presidential award and all that. I didn't even know that some people were watching. Even the people that actually nominated me, I was like, okay. But that's the truth. Tickets, people are watching you and people are always ready to guide you. But you yourself, you just need to be open and just be able to have those mentors or those coaches to coach you every part of your career, every area you want them to. You get, it's just like Madam Monica. There's no day you call her. She always has something to tell you. Sometimes I even wonder whether she doesn't even get. She always has something to advise you. You understand? She always has something to advise you. Same as Cynthia. Get. So don't be an island of your own. You need to start working with the right people, meeting the right people in your career, and they're going to help you in that success story. And please, over time, people that at the end of the day, they are successful, maybe their mentor has guided them and they are successful, they not even throw away that their mentor. They don't even come back to share the good news to that person to say, oh, I finally got this. It's very, very important to go back to that person that has helped you climb the ladder, in one way or the other, towards give back to, like saying that, oh, finally, oh, what you guided me, I've achieved it. It's very, very important. So thank you.
All right, thank you to all our speakers, and they've delivered a very good answer to the question, and I'm sure we have all learned today. Okay, so moving on. Another question here says, okay, it's to all presenters, all right? Says, how do we protect women in the industry in terms offshore, in terms of offshore work in the oil and gas industry as a safety officer? Okay, the person is asking because it says, because I was told that it's not safe for women to go offshore due to exposure to various dangers and chemicals. So the person is asking, in terms of offshore work in the oil and gas industry, how are women protected?
Okay.
Okay,
so can we go ahead?
Okay, so of course, it's just like when Madam Monica was presenting, she talked about PPE. So whether it's offshore, it's construction, depending on the job that you are doing, you must wear the right PPE. So if you are going offshore and you are going to a chemical thing, of course you are going to be wearing the right PPE for that job you are going to do offshore. You get, like I mentioned, I actually work in the maritime industry. A lot of times I go offshore. Because part of my job is I must do inspection, I must do audits, and I have to go offshore. I cannot be sitting there in my office and be doing those things because what I need to cite all those and reference some things that I've cited in my reports. So you will definitely do this, but you should wear the right PPE. Madam Monica, over to you.
All right. So add to what Kemi has said. Kemi, thank you so much for that beautiful response. To add to it, one of the things I say to not just only women, to all workers, one of the responsibility you owe yourself, the safety starts with you. You owe yourself responsibility to also know the kind of exposure that is on your job. And I know that oil and gas industry is one of the industries that is huge on health and safety compliance. So I do not know where you got your statistics from. It's not safe for women to go offshore. I know several women that go offshore and they are very successful in their career. Yes, there is a high risk industry, no doubt. It poses a lot of danger, and of course, there's a lot of exposure. And the same is applicable to all other industries beyond just oil and gas. One question is that I will pose to all of us, you must be competent enough, particularly as health and safety officer or supervisor of manager. Your responsibility is to protect not just others, but also to protect yourself. So you must be knowledgeable on the hazards that you are exposed to on the job. And of course, I expect that a thorough risk assessment would have been conducted, and there are controls that you want to put in place to mitigate the impacts. Is there any job that do not have some form of hazards, exposure, and all of that? That's why we conduct risk assessments, to mitigate this exposure and, as much as possible to limit them. So when you go to these sites, you will see women there, you will see men there, they are all equally exposed. And the extent of your protection, because sometimes also, like Kemi rightly stated, you give people PPE and they are not even using it, despite the fact that they are exposed to very hazardous chemicals, because they do not understand the importance of, using some of this. And, just PPE is even the last resort anyway. Just going through the risk assessment and the form of controls, follow the procedures, follow the rules. Several persons had worked in offshore for several years and they are still alive, meaning that it is possible to work in those industries regardless of the exposures, and you'll still be safe if you follow the regulatory and the policies and procedures that have been put in place for you to follow. And if you as a health and safety officer, you see that there are not policies and procedures that are put in place, you want to advocate that such be put in place. Because if you're exposing yourself, it's advisable that you remove yourself. Sometimes it's better to remove yourself from the job than endanger your health. So ultimately, the responsibility still lies on you as an individual. Although we know that employer has responsibility to protect you as well, you also have a responsibility as an individual to protect yourself as well, right? So, and it's not just only oil and gas, any job, as a matter of fact, that you want to do, ensure that you are protected and not exposing yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the response now. Okay, and we'll be looking at the last question for today, which is, how do we deal with the underrepresentation of women in the industry? How do we deal with it?
Okay, so I think we have answered this question time and time again, how we deal with underrepresentation. I think that was the question that we answered regarding how we position ourselves. One of the things that I know about health and safety industry is that it's a very lucrative industry. It's a very attractive industry. I showed you statistics of people that will recommend it, and you saw almost 80% saying, I would recommend that you work in the health and safety industry. And one of the ways that women underrepresentation can actually be addressed is for us women to, showcase ourselves, especially at the leadership level, so that it doesn't seem as if, like, when we were talking about career progression and career advancement, so that you can be able to be visible, more visible, and showcase yourself. The truth is, the more women they see and the more women that is being showcased in health and safety industry, the more women that will be encouraged to come into the health and safety industry. And I'm hoping that, because the truth is there are not so many of us that are quote unquote that visible when it comes to health and safety, especially for the women folks. I know, yes, a lot of us are visible, but we need to do more. So another major area is also for us to intentionally reach out to the younger folks. And I think we are doing that already. Maybe we can also increase on our parts to, handhold them, mentor them, and, to guide them in their career progression and career path as much as possible. I am available as much as possible. And I know sometimes I may not also be available. So you have to create a balance, like Kemi said, and to see how we are able to mentor the younger one. But trust me, there are platforms like Share, I hope you got that right, as Aromusoye, Wise, a lot of platforms. Finally, I also want you to go out of your way, to also, especially for those coming into the career for the first time, go out of your niche, go out of your cocoon, come out, allow people to meet you, allow people to know you, network, and of course, you will meet other people. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you to all our speakers for the wonderful presentation. And thank you for dealing with all the questions we read out today. And we are glad we were able to make it to this webinar today. And to all our attendees, all the participants, we appreciate your presence here. And thank you so much for joining our webinar. Thank you so much for joining our webinar. If you have further questions, kindly send us email or send us a message via WhatsApp. I've dropped our email address and phone number on the comment section. Kindly go through the comment section to pick up the email address and phone number. So reach out to us with your questions and we'll have them answered. Okay, and thank you all for joining. My name is Kelechi, representing Green Shield Safety. Like I said earlier, Green Shield Safety is committed to ensuring the safety of every Nigerian worker. And hence we brought up this webinar to enlighten other safety professionals and also to guide those that are just transitioning into the HSE field. And our wonderful and amazing speakers of today are Dr. Monica Nwosu, Cynthia, Ozobu, and Mrs. Oluwakemi, Aromusoye. And thank you very much to all our panelists. Thank you for honoring us. We called and we reached out to you and you responded. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring us today. So finally, we have come to the end of this webinar, and we'll be reaching out to everyone here we'll be sending out the webinar recordings to all the participants. Just in case you missed any parts, you would get to see it again. Thank you very much, everybody, once again. Thank you to my speakers and to all participants. Thank you very much.